Remove your crankcase breather vent line and your spark plug cap. Might be a good idea to remove the spring clip off your vent line so it doesn't drop into the engine. Next, go to the two valve cover bolts and the valve cover. Be sure to keep track of the two valve cover bolt gaskets, the valve cover gasket, and the spark plug hole gasket. Inspect them for any damage before reusing them. Now remove your crank hole cap. Inspect the O-ring on it and replace if necessary. Using an Allen head socket, you can rotate the engine to top dead center. This means lining up the punch mark on the gear with the small arrow on the engine case. Be sure to match your eye level with the arrow or you'll be off by a few degrees. With the engine at top dead center, you should align your cam timing mark with the cam journal mating surface. Make sure your cam lobes are pointing towards your intake. If they're not, you'll need to rotate the crank another 360 degrees to put your engine on the compression stroke. Make sure all the alignment marks are lined up. To make measuring your intake valves easier, you can move the breather line. Now, using a feeler gauge, you can measure between the cam follower bucket and the cam lobe. Intake clearance can be from 5 to 7 thousandths of an inch. Be sure to measure both intake valve clearances. The two larger cam lobes will be for your intake valves. Now you can measure exhaust valve clearance. Insert the proper feeler gauge in between the rocker arm and the valve shim. The clearance range is from 10 to 12 thousandths of an inch. Be sure to check both valves. If your valve clearance is in spec, you can reinstall your breather line. Be sure to route it so it's not pinched or kinked in any way. Now you can reinstall the valve cover, making sure all the gaskets are positioned correctly. Reinstall the valve cover bolts and torque to 10 Newton meters. Be very careful not to over torque these bolts. Reinstall the breather hose and spark plug cap. Last, install the crank hole cap and O-ring and torque to 15 Newton meters.